This is an update about the murders that happened in southern Saline County over the weekend. Now, you're going to hear some details in here that you have probably heard before, and there will be details that you haven't heard before. I'm just going to go through the whole thing. So, on Saturday afternoon, a person living in the Glen Rose community of Saline County down at the southern border by Hot Spring County called 911 to say that their neighbor's house was on fire. First responders got to that house. They went into the house and they found a body, a woman's body. Now, they thought that that woman maybe had passed out from smoke inhalation and they were going to drag her body outside, get her some oxygen, all the things that you might do if a home was on fire. But they found that she had gunshot wounds. They went through the house looking for more people, and they found the body of a juvenile female who also had suffered gunshot wounds. Now, this is not something that was released in the press today, but I heard from other sources that they found a body in the shed outside that had suffered gunshot wounds. That was the body of a father, and he had also had gas poured on his body, but it had not been ignited. The only family survivor of the shooting was a teenage boy. Now, they have released the names of the survivors. The victims are Dara Martin, Jacob Martin, and 16-year-old Aaliyah Martin. Dara and Jacob are mom and dad. Aaliyah was sister, and then the survivor was a 15-year-old male. I said before it was 14-year-old, but he is actually 15 years old. The 15-year-old, who has not been named, has been charged with 3 counts of capital murder, abuse of a corpse, arson, tampering with physical evidence. Of course, it probably goes without saying that he has been charged as an adult. Now, the other part of what I want to say has not really been released to the public, and honestly, I doubt that anything will be said about it, but I don't think okay, I'll be honest. I have mixed feelings about saying anything about it at all because I don't think that murder is the answer for anything. And I know I get on here and I talk about these cases where people die, but sometimes it's very hard for me. See value in life and it hurts me to my core, right? And I'm not saying this for attention or anything like that, just so that you understand this is a very big deal for me. And I woke up to a message this morning that had the names of the mom and the dad on it. And I waited all day to say anything about it until they were released because I wanted to make sure I got it right. I didn't want to put any more false information out there than I had to. But also, the message had the information that I'm about to give you. And I have battled with saying anything about it all day long. I even told the person that sent it to me, I feel, what do you do with this kind of information? Do you say anything about it? Do you let it go? Uh, how does it make a person look when they say something about this kind of information? But also, I battle with the fact that this 15-year-old is also a person, a human that's living and has emotion. And like other people have said in my comments, maybe mental health played a role in these murders. And after reading what I read, I am almost certain that that's probably the truth. So please, before you come after me in the comments, know that this is something that I struggled with even talking about and that I feel like the full picture should be put out there, but also I see pros and cons to all of it. So what I was sent was an affidavit from 2019, and the affidavit talks about something that had happened within the family. And maybe when you hear it, you'll think it's not a big deal as a victim of child abuse. I think that it is a big deal. Should it have led to murder? No, but I can't imagine how tortured a person must be. So, like I said, this is from 2019. You can read it online if you want to. It is on there. It says, I received notification from the Department of Children and Family Services. The 10-year-old male and his sister, which would be Aaliyah, she was 12 years old at the time, were at Arkansas Children's Hospital for medical evaluations as they had been taken into care for allegations of physical abuse. I made contact with DCFS caseworker in the emergency room. The caseworker explained that Aaliyah and her brother were taken into care after a report from the Boys and Girls Club in Benton earlier in that day. The caseworker said the report indicated that the boy was found to have bruising and marks to his back that was revealed during water play. So maybe they went swimming and the marks could be seen when he went swimming. The boy first said that the marks came from his dog, but then he changed the story and said that he was whooped with a belt by his parents. The caseworker observed bruising to his back, his bottom, and his legs. She photographed the injuries. And guys, don't think that a spanking is just like, I don't know, like I never got spanked before. That's not it, because the reason for the spanking, I think, is what really gets me. So the caseworker spoke to the parents, Dara and Jacob, and Dara said that she disciplined her son with a belt 2 to 3 times on the bottom because he was acting out and not reading his scripture. So this was all over Bible reading. Dara said after about an hour and a half, he began acting out again, and Dara said, Mr. Martin. So Jacob took the boy into the bathroom with the belt, and he was going to discipline him in the bathroom. Jacob said that he did take the boy into the bathroom to be disciplined, but some of his injuries came because he fell into the bathtub. So basically, he said, his 10-year-old son fell into the bathtub trying to avoid the belt, and he injured himself. Then the investigator made contact with Aaliyah and her brother in that hospital room. And the investigator asked, do you have any injuries that I need to know about? The boy said yes, and started showing her the marks that were to the back and to the front of his legs. On his back, they were red and purple discolorations on his lower back. She did say that they looked like they came from a belt. She asked the girl, Aaliyah, if Aaliyah had any injuries, and Aaliyah said no. And of course, they took photographs of both the boy and the girl, even though Aaliyah had no injuries. And I'm going to read an excerpt of what Jacob said in his interview because honestly, I can't make sense of it. And I think the easiest thing to do is to read it. So Jacob said, we gave him an assignment, gave him time to read it, and he didn't. His mom spanked him in the bedroom with the belt. Then he started reading right. Later on, he started his shenanigans again. 1 to 2 hours in, he still wasn't cooperative, and he was told he would get a spanking. He was bent over the edge of the tub, and I hit him, and he started flopping. He fell backwards into the tub and then over the toilet. I tried again to whip him. He bent over the tub and started flopping again. That's when I quit. There is a small part that I can't read or make sense of. It says I put the belt up and blank asked how many to get for the whipping. I tried to spank him again, tried to spank him while on the ground. That's when he ran backward and fell over the toilet. I was only able to give him 2 to 3 licks. And they did ask the physician at Children's Hospital if the injuries that the boy had were, consistent with Jacob's story. And the doctor said that the injuries were consistent to have occurred with a belt. So the doctor didn't feel like the injuries came from him falling over a toilet, falling into the bathtub, flopping around, whatever it was. It just were consistent with having occurred with a belt. So that's that. Jacob was charged with second-degree domestic battery. He pled guilty to that, I believe, and he got a year of probation, something like that. Now, does this mean that they should have been murdered? Absolutely not. Does this mean that there was abuse in the home? Maybe. At the very least, I would say, even if you believed that the mother and father were abusive and shouldn't be living, Aaliyah was 16 years old. But I just felt like I needed to put all of the information out there. So now you have it. You can do with it as you please. I do please think that you should keep the victim's family in your thoughts and prayers. And obviously, maybe a 15-year-old who is facing the rest of his life in prison. While I never murdered anybody, I can think of a lot of things that I did at 15 years old that I would be real ashamed of now. So what do you think about all of this? And also, my story, everything that I said about them having to do the Bible reading and stuff, I am a religious person, but am I going to set my kids down for an hour and a half, 2 hours to make them read the Bible? No, I'm not. Would I want judgment on me if I did do that? No, I wouldn't.